All right, let's talk about one of the biggest events in the Marvel Universe. A war. But here's the twist. This wasn't a war against some alien armada or a classic supervillain. No, this was a war of hero against hero, friend against friend, and it all kicked off because they just couldn't agree on what being a hero actually means anymore.
So that's really the question at the heart of Marvel's Civil War, isn't it? It's the story of how the very people who saved the world countless times ended up tearing their own community apart from the inside. And it's so devastating because there's no clear bad guy to root against.
So how does a conflict this huge even get started? Well, like so many conflicts in the real world, it doesn't begin with some grand declaration. It starts with a single, horrifying spark, a tragedy that honestly never should have happened.
Just look at that number, over 600 people. That's how many lives were lost in Stamford, Connecticut. Here's what went down. A group of young, kind of reckless heroes, the New Warriors, were filming a reality TV show. They tried to take down a supervillain named Nitro, whose whole power is that he can blow himself up. And he did, right next to an elementary school. The result? Over 600 dead, and that included 60 kids.
You can just imagine, right? The images from Stamford are everywhere, and the public is furious. They've had it with superpowered people causing all this collateral damage with zero accountability. The pressure was immense, and everyone was screaming for the government to step in and do something.
And so the government does do something. They come up with this, the Superhuman Registration Act. The idea is pretty simple, but the implications are huge. If you have powers, you have to register your real name with the government, no more secret identities, you get trained, and you basically become a licensed government agent. This single piece of paper becomes the fault line that splits the entire hero world in two. And this one law, it's like a chasm that opens up, an unbridgeable divide. And standing on either side of that crack, two of the closest friends you could find in the Marvel Universe. Tony Stark, Iron Man, and Steve Rogers, Captain America. Their friendship, well, it becomes the first real casualty of this whole thing. And here's the thing that makes this story so heartbreakingly good. Both sides have a point, a really good point. Tony Stark, he's looking at this and thinking, we need rules, we need accountability, or something like Stamford is just going to happen again. But then you've got Steve Rogers, who sees a law that forces people to sign up and be tracked by the government, and he thinks it's a straight-up violation of their freedom. Both of them are absolutely convinced they're doing the right thing. You can really get into Tony's head with this. For him, it's all about professionalism, right? Accountability. In his view, being a superhero is a public service, a job. And if you're going to wield that much power, you can't hide behind a mask. You have to be responsible for your actions out in the open.
But for Steve Rogers, this guy literally fought Nazis. He's seen firsthand what happens when governments start making lists of people based on who they are. To him, a law that registers and tracks people just because of their genetics, that's a dangerous path. He believes heroes have to be free to choose what's right, not just follow orders.
So you've got this massive disagreement, and it doesn't stay a debate for very long. The second Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. move to arrest Captain America for refusing to sign, he fights back. He goes underground, and just like that, the war is on.
And this is it's brutal to see. The first big brawl isn't against some cosmic threat trying to destroy the Earth. It's friend against friend. People who have literally saved each other's lives, who have fought side by side for years, are now trying to take each other down.
From here, things just go from bad to worse, and they escalate so fast. A huge turning point is when Spider-Man, in a big show of support for Tony, publicly unmasks on live TV. It's a massive PR win for Iron Man's side, but it also immediately puts Peter Parker's entire family in the crosshairs, and believe me, things only get darker from there.
And if you look at what Tony's side does in the name of order, it gets dark, fast. We're talking about building a secret prison in another dimension, the negative zone, to lock up his former friends without any kind of trial. He even starts recruiting actual supervillains to hunt down heroes who won't register. But the absolute point of no return? Stark unleashes a crazed cyborg clone of Thor, and it kills the hero Goliath in the middle of a battle. A hero killed a hero.
But it's not like Cap's hands are clean either. He's fighting for freedom, sure, but he's leading a fugitive resistance. He's forced to team up with criminals he'd normally put in jail. He's using guerrilla tactics against his friends, and he's leading his allies into a dangerous war that's putting everyone, including civilians, right in the line of fire.
And all this anger and betrayal and compromised ideals, it all boils over into one final, insane battle right in the heart of New York City. The whole city becomes a war zone, and the line between who's a hero and who's a villain just completely disappears.
So we're at the climax, the big one-on-one, the fight we've been building to. In Captain America, he has Iron Man beat. His armor is fried, he's on the ground, Cap is about to land the final blow and win the whole war. But then, something happens. He's stopped, and not by another superhero. He's tackled to the grounds by regular people. Firefighters, cops, paramedics, the very people he swore to protect.
And in that one moment, Cap just stops. He looks around at the city they've destroyed, at the rubble and the fires, and he looks at the faces of these people. He doesn't see admiration or gratitude. He sees fear. They're terrified of him. And he realizes, what have we been doing? They were so busy trying to win the argument, so focused on being right, that they forgot who they were supposed to be protecting in the first place. So he gives up. He surrenders on the spot. Not because he was beaten in a fight, but because he realized he had already lost what truly mattered.
So there you have it. Tony Stark wins. The loss stands, but what a victory, right? It's completely empty. The hero community is shattered. His best friend is in chains, and the cost of being right was just immeasurable.
The aftermath is just devastating. The war is officially over, but the wounds are everywhere. And then, in the final, gut-wrenching twist, Steve Rogers is assassinated on his way to trial. The ultimate symbol of freedom is gunned down, leaving a scar on the entire universe.
And that's really why this story sticks with you, because there wasn't a right answer. Tony had a valid point about accountability. Steve was right to fight for freedom. But their total inability to find any middle ground, to compromise, led them both to ruin. It's a true tragedy.
You know, the impact of Civil War was just huge. It wasn't just a comic book story. It held up a mirror to our own world, to the debates we have every single day about security versus liberty. It proved that these stories could be deep, that they could be political. And man, is it a powerful warning about how ugly things can get when we let our ideals divide us completely.
And that's the question the story leaves you with, right? It forces you to really think about it. In a world with this much power and this much danger, where do you draw the line? Are you on the side of security and oversight? Or are you on the side of freedom and privacy? Which side would you choose?